Welcome back to the continuing adventures of the monad. In this presentation, we are going to look at the other 4 exoteric problems that one finds if you are constrained by ideas of the self that have been propagated by esoteric teachings given by schools of thought other than Hylozoics. The esoteric concept of the monad as the smallest indestructible unit of matter in the universe alone affords the solution to the problem of immortality of the self. This has sometimes been formulated as the immortality of the soul or of spirit. However, the soul, namely the causal envelope, is not immortal, because it is dissolved when the monad leaves the human kingdom definitively and enters the 5th natural kingdom. Nor is spirit immortal, for what is meant by that is the 45 envelope of the second self, and it is dissolved at the very latest as the monad passes into the 7th natural kingdom or 1st cosmic kingdom world. 36 to 42. I wish to point out here the use of certain nomenclature. The kingdoms of nature refer to the 6 kingdoms found in our solar system on worlds 43 to 49. This collection of kingdoms is also known as the 1st or 7th cosmic kingdom, depending how you are counting. For some esotericists, the 6 kingdoms of nature are not to be considered as cosmic, and that designation is only given to the 6 higher kingdoms. A small technicality, but one worth remembering. Back to our story. How does the self, the permanent individuality, survive these disillusions? If the individual self, self-awareness, self-identity, the perception of one's own presence, or I am, has no material basis, limiting it against the rest of existence, and all other individuals, it must dissolve when its envelopes dissolve and merge into the all, thus to be lost as an individual self with a self-identity. This fate is indeed what is proffered in the concept of nirvana found in exoteric pantheism. Alas, these systems of thought know nothing of the monad, or at least are not prepared to talk about it in public. The concept of the self merging with the universal soul would imply the nullification of the self's evolution. Only an indissoluble primordial atom can be a permanent material basis of self-consciousness. Remember, where the monad ultimately resides, on the first plane of matter. This makes it the highest kind of matter found in the universe. Consequently, there is no limit to its potential consciousness expansion. It has the potential to embrace the consciousness bound up with all the lower kinds of atoms 2 to 49. Another way to look at it is to say that the monad can pull off all the envelopes it has resided in as it has evolved through the cosmos. If you make the mistake of equating the self with any envelope whatsoever, you then have to accept that no evolution is possible beyond the capacity of that envelope. If for you that envelope is your physical organism, it would be a hugely disappointing state of affairs, as the only certainty you have in life is that your virtual reality suit is finite and does decay before your very eyes. This leads us to the second problem, which is solved by accepting that the monad is an immortal unit of matter. That problem is one of God being immanent and also transcendent. In esoterics and also in New Age mysticism, it is an axiom that all is divine in essence, or all is inherently divine. Hylozoics explains this in a very simple way. All is divine in essence, since all in all worlds is matter, consisting of atoms, and, in the last analysis, of indestructible primordial atoms. These atoms are what Pythagoras called the monad, and it possesses consciousness, even if as a primary atom that consciousness is just a potential and not realized yet. Since memory is indestructible, the monads cannot avoid collecting experiences and thereby develop their consciousness and ability. Consciousness development of an indestructible self must, as time goes by, reach ever higher stages and finally the very highest one, cosmic omniscience and omnipotence. The monads that have already reached this high stage collectively make up God transcendent. The monads that are still on their way to reach it, all of them, at all stages, collectively make up God immanent. Now, we get to the third problem that needs solving. This concerns the worlds of the cosmos 1 to 49. To the materialist, there is only matter, and we can see, feel, touch, smell, and taste it. It is not unsurprising, as this is our current physical reality. Esoterics teaches that there are further realities that are invisible to us at present, and these realities are as real at their frequency ranges as our reality is to us at present. Furthermore, Esoterics teaches us that this invisible reality is divided into several different states. In mysticism, the view is held that states are one-sidedly described as being consciousness only, as being spiritual in nature, as opposed to visible reality as being material. Hylozoics, on the other hand, affords an all-round description, clarifying that this spiritual reality has a matter aspect and motion aspect, as well as a consciousness aspect. Another problem to be dealt with is how to explain that on the one hand, each world has matter, consciousness, and motion, which we can think of as a series of vibrations, or as will, which is different in each world. There is also space and time, which has perceptions which are characteristic of each plane of matter, totally different from those of other worlds. All these worlds together make up a continuum, a unity that is held together and known collectively as the cosmos. This unity is most clearly manifested in the fact that all kinds of consciousness belong to ever higher worlds and embrace and include all the lower kinds. On a point of order, I wish to mention that the concept of the universe and the cosmos are one and the same thing, and again I use these words interchangeably. This problem is solved by explaining that all the worlds of the cosmos are material and of an atomic nature, just like the physical world. Every world is made up of its own atoms. Consciousness and motion are always limited in their possibilities, and modes of expression by the matter that is the necessary basis of these two aspects. The coarser and more massive the atom, the more sluggish the motion, as well as the slower the vibrations, resulting in a duller, more mechanical consciousness. The finer the atoms, the swifter and more intensive the vibration, and the clearer and more focused the consciousness, results in a much more evolved monad. Every atom functioning on a specific plane of matter is comprised of atoms from the next higher plane, which in turn is comprised from matter of even higher planes. This eventually leads all the way up to plane 1, where ultimately the monad resides. Remember, here I use the term world and plane interchangeably, although Lars would disapprove of this sloppiness. This of course implies that each atomic kind contains all the higher kinds, or expressed differently, higher atoms penetrate all the lower atoms. The monads, being the smallest unit of matter, therefore penetrate and build all matter in the cosmos. In consequence, all the atomic kinds have an inner connection with one another. Energies of a higher atomic kind affect all the lower kinds. Atoms of the same atomic kind have the same kind of consciousness, and from the consciousness point of view, they form a common collective consciousness. This collective also includes the collective consciousness of all the lower atomic kinds, since the atoms of lower kinds consist of nothing but the atoms of higher kinds. Can you see the logic here? On the other hand, lower consciousness cannot apprehend higher consciousness, a fact that we can all realize when we accept that by sense perception found in the lowest 3 subplanes of the 49th plane, our senses such as vision, hearing, touch, etc. cannot apprehend desire and feelings found in the emotional world 48, or thoughts present in world 47. In the same vein, our desires and feelings cannot grasp thoughts, whereas by desire and feelings we can apprehend sense perception found in the physical plane, so that we can, for instance, sort them into agreeable and disagreeable ones. Using our mental capacity, we can grasp, understand, and judge desires and feelings, as well as physical sense perception. We have covered 3 of the 4 problems that current views of esoteric teaching have difficulty resolving if you do not bring matter fairly and squarely into the equation. There is one more problem to deal with, and that concerns the genesis of the cosmos. See you in the next presentation. Thank you.